Well, the sun has come out and it's looking to be a great day of racing as we follow 4 classes from this series, bringing you all the racing action from here at Cadwell Park. This is Thundersport Plus.
Yes, welcome to Cadwell Park in Lincolnshire, the unmistakable circuit here, and when the sun is out like it is today, there's nothing quite like it. Round 4 of the Thundersport GB Championships for 2013. We started off the season at Brands Hatch. We went to Donington, then Snetterton, now Cadwell. Before we head to Alton, we got 4 races coming up for you today and 2 Motodex pre-national sport 600s. The first one on the grid already, number 4, James Shaw, the championship leader, alongside their number 71, Stephen Parsons, a local rider in this weekend on the SP Racing Triumph, and then Dave Brooke, number 73. Dave, second in the championship, but he's quite a bit behind James Shaw overall in the points. So first and second in the championship, a first and third on the grid. Parsons has been in pretty good form. Look out for the sky blue Yamaha R6 of Don Gilbert, number 34, the rider from Crawley. He's been on it this weekend in the 600s as well. And away we go from the lights here in the pre-national sport 600. Look at the long list of riders that we've got. This grid absolutely jam-packed here this weekend. The pre-national 600s, effectively a championship for riders that have not yet attained a national license. So we've got the majority of riders out there are rookies with orange bibs on. The rest have only been racing for perhaps a year and a half. And at the moment, it looks like James Shaw, who's been recently taken under by the GNS Kawasaki Racing squad that leads. Adam Clark, the reigning Thundersport 500 champion, has moved up into second place. That is number 37, Nick Kavanagh on the Yamaha R6, battling it out for some points. James Shaw, a rider that spent most of last year crashing. This year, he really has sorted himself out, and he's looking very, very quick. Any of these riders, despite the fact that they are pre-national, they can get themselves into the elite 600 class effectively, and James Shaw has been doing very well in that. So Shaw is the man to beat. Oh, we've lost someone through Hall Bends already, and that's Frank Gallagher. Frank, number 47, he's not happy. He's lost the front end, just tipping into Hall Bends. That's pretty unfortunate there, but nice to see him walking up and away. James Shaw already trying to make a point in this race. He breaks away from Dave Brooke. It's Adam Clark in third, Don Gilbert in fourth place. Stephen Parsons got away okay. Daz Odlin, another rider that doesn't live too far away. Louth, literally round the corner from Cadwell here. He's up into the top 6 or 7. Paul Cunvin, number 8. Will James, Charlie McCartan. So Anthony Charlie's also out there. Number of riders to look out for. There's Gilbert making up another place in number 71, Parsons. There is number 89, Daz Odlin, out there on the MJW Racing Yamaha R6. James Shaw on the GNS Kawasaki breaking away from the Brooks Suspension Yamaha of Dave Brooke. Then it's Don Gilbert, number 34 on the QED Property Yamaha. Nice that Don's sporting sky blue colours. He stands out a mile. Brilliant stuff for us here in the commentary box. It's Shaw that leads at the moment. The lap record before the start of this weekend was a 36.5. James Shaw was very close to that after the second lap. What is it going to be when we see him in a moment? 63, just going through. There is Michael Mace from Loughborough on the Mike Mace Racing Yamaha. And there's Asa Webb. Asa, number 80, from Spalding. Brother of Grace, who's down in Parc Ferme with us here for all of the Thundersport rounds in 2013. There's Daz Odlin, number 89, just going through. Daz currently lapping in the 138s, and James Shaw on that lap, a 136.322. That is the lap record. It's gone. We said at the start of the day, probably perfect conditions here. The weather is beautiful. We're into the late teens, early 20s in terms of air temperature, so that's very nice indeed. In fact, David Brooke, is he closing that gap down at the front? David Brooke, a really good lap time himself. We will find out. There's Nick Kavanagh again, just going around Chris Curve and up towards the mountain. Charlie Oakland is up into the top 10 at the moment, number 19. Charlie, who's actually leading the original Buff Women's Championship standings overall, ahead of Jenny Tinmouth and Georgina Polden. Leaders just going through the chicane there. And that is the triumph of number 26. That's Chris Smith. Chris from High Peak on the Des Burnage LLP Triumph 675. Just battling away for the remaining points in this race. There are starters. We had 35 of them in this race. And James Shaw here is really trying to pull the pin. Another 136 for him. A 137 flat from David Brooke. Don Gilbert in third place. Don came into this weekend 8th in the championship, but he's picking up some decent points. Parsons in 4th, Adam Clark 5th, Daz Odlin in 6th place. James Shaw, don't think it'll be long before we mentioned he's already got GNS Kawasaki backing for this weekend. And if he keeps up this sort of level of performances, there'll be a few team managers everywhere looking at him because, as I mentioned before, not only is he leading the pre-national Sport 600s, but in the Sportsman Elite Championship, sponsored by the Van Insurer, he's been getting himself regularly on the podium. It's a super stock bike, that 600 that he's got, so really impressive considering that you are allowed formula-tuned machines in this pre-national class. There he is, James, number 4, going through, right from Manchester, ahead of David Brooke. From Bradford on the Brooke Suspension Yamaha. There is number 92, Michael Ward from Peterborough, one of the riders under the British Army race team banner. Adam Clark having a decent race also. Cousin of Chris Helliwell, you'll remember him from this championship last year. Liam Helliwell, just outside the points, a bit further back at the moment. And that's a good scrap between Don Gilbert, the Sky Blue machine, number 34, and Parsons. Stephen Parsons on the inside, number 71, as they head up towards Coppice Corner. And Daz Odlin looks like he might just be closing in on those guys. But James Shaw stretching out his advantage. Brooke going through. And there is the fight for third place. Parsons up the inside of Don Gilbert, down into Park Corner. Gilbert fighting back through Chris Curve. There isn't room for 2 around there. And there certainly isn't room for 2 as they get around the gooseneck. There's Charlie Oakland, having a good race here, Charlie. Fighting out with Charlie McCartan and Will James up in the top 10. And already the leader down at the bottom of the mountain. Decent crowd here today at Cadwell Park, the sun shining. And James Shaw really is looking very consistent. There's Adam Clark, number 87. Adam, who won the Thundersport 500 championship last year as a complete rookie. Really, really impressed us. Last lap flag out then for James Shaw. It's been a really good ride from James. And we've got another one of these pre-national races coming up later on. Can he extend that championship lead over David Brooke? Paul Westerdale, just in case you're wondering what's going on. A few mechanical issues, not been able to get out on circuit. Paul will hopefully be back for the second race, and Paul is a rider that you should expect to be seeing in the top 4 or 5 as Charlie Oakland goes by there. She's looking good for a solid top 10 finish here. James Shaw just got a bit of traffic to deal with up ahead, but he could cruise around now to take the win. He's got about 8 or 9 seconds over David Brooke. There is Adam Clark, just up behind Stephen Parsons, who's now lost touch with Don Gilbert. So it looks like Don Gilbert, who was 8th in the championship, is going to take a big chunk of points here. There's Charlie McCartan, number 84, just behind Will James, but ahead of Charlie Oakland. And there is James Shaw, just getting through a bit of the traffic. Number 126 there is Dean Young. He's got past Carl Dyer also. And there is Stephen Parsons up ahead of Adam Clark. Clark desperate to try and find a way past. Clark was level on points with Don Gilbert coming into this weekend, but Gilbert's going to get himself a podium. But at the front, the championship leader, standout rider so far in 2013 in this class, James Shaw takes the 25 points ahead of David Brooke, number 73. That's the best that David could do from that situation. Don Gilbert, a solid 3rd place ahead of number 71, Stephen Parsons. And it is Adam Clark that takes 5th place ahead of local rider Daz Odlin. Paul Convin finished in 7th, Will James 8th, Charlie McCartan 9th, and Charlie Oakland, she did finish in 10th place. And there's James Shaw on the top step.
3rd position goes to Donald Gilbert. That was quite a race for you. You had 4th and 5th breathing down your neck the whole race.
Yeah, I know, it's very close. Yeah, these two, they disappeared off into the distance, and I couldn't catch them, and all I could hear was bikes behind me, so it's a bit close. We had a bit of contact, but no, it was a good race. Enjoyed it. Really good.
Well done. Any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, QED Property, massive thanks to them, because without them I wouldn't have a bike to ride. Gleam Clean, Ravenel Oil, and everybody else who's contributed and let us race this year, so good.
Thank you, well done. David Brooke, unfortunately you settle for 2nd position. I know how much you wanted to catch James. How did you find the race?
Hard work, bridesmaid again, but he's flying. Struggled with Adam Clark holding me up on 1st lap. I didn't want to do a naughty move on him, and meantime, give him an inch and that's it, he's gone. I felt like I held my own, but I'm struggling with my breathing because I crashed yesterday and damaged my ribs. Wasn't particularly comfortable on bike, so I'm happy.
Well, we wish you luck for your next race. Any sponsors you want to thank?
Yeah, everyone on my levers, Phil Beckwith, who's helped me out with me mechanicking. Thanks to HB Motorcycles, who rebuilt the engine after Snetterton. They did a real good job. Mum and Dad for helping me out with the money to pay for it. Steve, Paul Martin, and everyone else who come along to give me a hand.
Well done, thank you.
Cheers.
And the winner is James Shaw, who was absolutely flying. I even saw you going on the white line over the mountain just to get past some back markers. That was a stonking race.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I had a big crash yesterday, and I'm actually riding with bent yokes. I had a big crash this morning. Someone crashed in front of me, went over the handlebars. So yeah, I'm really happy I could get the win.
A bent bike also got you the lap record as well.
Even better.
Any sponsors to thank?
Mark and Tom Fisher from GNS Racing. They've rebuilt my bike after writing it off at Snetterton. And my mum, my dad, my girlfriend, anybody else who helps me out.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in the next race. Well done.
Well, don't go anywhere. Coming up after the break, the Golden Era Superbikes, sponsored by RST Clothing.
From yesterday.
Riding in the Golden Era Superbikes, I'm here with Ian Simpson this weekend. Ian, hello. You're here at Thundersport this weekend, and I understand you've been racing for many years now. What keeps you motivated to keep going on the bikes?
Oh, I just love riding motorbikes. Just love the fun coming away with my mates at weekend and having a wee playing on a bike, so I still enjoy it as much as ever.
You've been at the TT, BSB, many other rounds. What has been your highlight in your career? What have you achieved that you think greatly of?
In 1994, I was British 600 champion and British Superbike champion in the same year, so that was hard work, but that was, looking back, that was probably my hardest achievement.
Excellent. And now you're here at Thundersport. How does that compare to some of the other places that you've been?
Oh, it's great. You get loads of track time here. I've got 4 races this weekend, and I'm too old and fat and unfit to do all that. So you get loads of track time, and it's a really good, friendly, well-run meeting.
Excellent. Well, we wish you luck in your race, and we hope to see you again here at Thundersport. Back to you, Steve.
Yeah, thanks very much, Grace. The RST Clothing Golden Era Superbikes down on the grid. Championship leader Richard Blund. I think Ian Simpson there. Here he is, number 45 on the RC45. Just downplaying his own career statistics a little bit there. Ian, the rider from Edinburgh. He's had 3 TT wins, 5 Northwest 200 wins, including 3 in the Superbike class. Former British Superbike champion, a British Supersport champion. It's not bad going, is it really, from Ian Simpson. There's Chris Norris, number 22. Look out for Sean Goldsmith, also number 52. Neil Appleby is also in the middle of the front row on the Ducati 996. Championship leader just on the second row there, just to the right of Ian Simpson, number 13 on the Suzuki 750, Richard Blunt. And Rob Wilson, also another rider to keep an eye out for on the Kawasaki ZX7R, number 57. So we're winding back the years a bit here with this class. Some familiar names, some familiar bikes as they all head and charge up towards Coppice Corner here at Cadwell Park for round 4 of 2013. It's the first time we've seen Ian Simpson this season at Thundersport. It's a pleasure to have him racing with us. And I tell you what, it's a marker for some of the rest of the riders. If you can match Ian Simpson, then you're going places. Richard Blunt there getting himself up into 2nd or 3rd place. Remember that we do have the Sparklight Racing Super Sport class within this championship as well. That's being led by number 21, Lee Longdon, a rider with a former GP wildcard to his name. He's out there on the Moto Italia Ducati 748. Been battling all season so far with Adam Sheriff, Ryan Strafford, Sam Nicholson and Ricky Owen. But already here, the opening stages of the race, Ian Simpson pulling away from the rest of the pack. There's Richard Blunt, the championship leader, in 2nd place. Sean Goldsmith on the MV Augusta in 3rd. Neil Appleby 4th. Chris Norris 5th. It looks like Lee Longdon 6th, ahead of Nick Williamson and then Rob Wilson. And that there is number 35. Sorry, that's 75. That's Ryan Strafford. Ian Simpson then comes onto the start-finish straight. As I mentioned, those 5 Northwest wins, 3 TT wins, British Superbike champion. That win in the 94, it was known as the Heat British Super Cup. It's now known as the British Superbikes. That was on a Duckham's Crichton Norton. That was the final year that rotary Nortons were raced at that level in British Superbike Championships. So it was some feat for Ian Simpson. But he did run into a bit of injury trouble. He broke both of his legs 4 times and had to retire in 2001. He narrowly escaped needing to have one of his legs amputated. He now rides for fun, as he's just mentioned, but an up and down career for sure, but legendary status, no doubt about it. Any rider that's won a British Superbike Championship, a few Northwests and a few TTs, well, I take my hat off to them. Here he is, number 45. Worth a bit of money, that RC45, trick bit of kit. But when you've got someone like Ian Simpson on top of it, there's no wonder why he's breaking out into almost a 6-second lead already after the first few laps. Richard Blunt doing well at the moment in 2nd. He's looking to try and extend that championship lead to Rob Wilson. Chris Norris is having a very good weekend. Number 22, Chris from Stockport on the CRN Racing Aprilia Miele. There is the battle for 2nd. Lack of adhesion flag just being shown on the left of your screen there. That's Sean Goldsmith in 3rd, Appleby 4th, Norris 5th. There's Rob Wilson in 6th place, Lee Longdon 7th, leading the Super Sports. Then that looks like Mark S, number 355. Mark S from North Thoresby on the highlight signs Yamaha 750. The reason he goes for number 355 is because it looks a bit like ESS, his surname, just in case you're wondering. And he's a rider that knows Cadwell Park pretty well, and that's a well turned out machine, that Yamaha FZR 750. It's Ian Simpson it is with the lead. He's smashed the lap record to pieces. Reigning champion Lee Reevely held it, a 138.124. Ian Simpson's last lap, a 36.461. So that's about a 1.5 seconds that he's broken the lap record by. There's Rob Wilson just going through your picture, and Lee Longdon, 355, Mark S, and number 85. That's Shane Pearson from Spondon on the Melted Sliders Suzuki 750. The old S-Rad, and there's another Suzuki there, Richard Blunt, number 13. He started the weekend out on his Kawasaki 750 in Kawasaki France colours. He's been having a few problems with that. He's had a couple of offs with it, but a few mechanical issues with it, so he's reverted back to the 750 Suzuki, which has treated him pretty well so far at the start of the season. Looking at the championship points, he could walk away from here with about 50-odd points more than Rob Wilson. Don Plain, not a great weekend for Don. He had an off yesterday here at Cadwell, and I've not seen him out in this race so far, so hopefully he's not injured. There's Craig Jeff, number 16. Craig from Barnsley on the 2JR Crossline Garage Aprilia. Craig, in 8th place overall in the championship behind Jason Dixon, who I don't believe is here this weekend. There's number 73. No prizes for guessing what bike he's on, but Nick Allison there on the Channel Island Racing Kawasaki. Last lap flag out then for Ian Simpson, number 45. Blimey, there was a time where I was queuing up for an autograph of Ian Simpson, and now we're here commentating him in the Golden Era Superbikes. Really is great to see him out on that bike, but nobody has come close to touching him. His lap times are a 1.5 seconds quicker. Oh, Mick Everett's got problems, number 5. He shakes his head. He's just going to park up the Suzuki on the tyre wall. That's the end of Mick's race, unfortunately, but we're now watching Ian Simpson come around Chris Curve over towards the gooseneck. He's got this one in the bag. If Richard Blunt can fend off Chris Norris in 2nd place, it looks like he has so far, he will extend his championship lead. Chris Norris will close up on Rob Wilson overall. Sean Goldsmith's up there, good set of points for him. Goldsmith was 10th coming into this weekend. He'll move himself up in the standings overall, as Chris Dixon's just had a lap put on him by Ian Simpson. Chris out there on that Battleship Grey Suzuki. Coming through Hall Bends now then, the race leader. Been a perfect weekend for Ian Simpson. His first weekend in the Golden Era Superbikes, and I wouldn't be surprised if this points tally takes him very close into the top 10. There's Sean Goldsmith, number 52. Biggest smile in the paddock. He's on his way to 5th place, but it's Ian Simpson that wins here at Cadwell Park in the Golden Era Superbikes. As easy as that. Back marker just coming through there, completing the race. That's Chris Dixon. 2nd place overall, it does go to Richard Blunt, and he does extend his championship lead. Chris Norris finishes in 3rd, ahead of Neil Appleby on the Ducati 996. Sean Goldsmith was 5th on his road bike, the MV Augusta 750, and Rob Wilson there in 6th place overall. There's a very happy Ian Simpson, another trophy to add to the collection. And in the Super Sports, it was Lee Longdon that took the victory ahead of Ryan Strafford and Rick Owen. Sheriff finishing 4th ahead of Johnston and Chris Spink. And on the podium there you see a very happy winner, Lee Longdon. In the points coming into Alton Park, our next round, there you see it. Blunt still leads from Wilson, Norris, Williamson, Don Plain, and Sean Goldsmith moves up to 6th. In the Super Sport, Lee Longdon, great lead, almost 100 points now that he has over Adam Sheriff, number 911.
Winner of the Golden Era Super Sport race, Lee Longdon. That was a good race for you there, winning in your class. Ryan Strafford was creeping behind you though, but you managed to pull out the win.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know what happened behind me, but we got a good start then in that race. Push hard all the way through. It was very, very hard, you know, with the heat and whatnot. But no, that was a good race. Pushed hard. No, it was brilliant.
And any sponsors you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Motor Italia for this weekend, Motor Lyles, and I'd like to thank Wiz, you know, for the knee sliders.
Well done, thank you.
A lot. See you later.
See ya. And winner of the Golden Era Superbike is Ian Simpson. Ian, you're new to us here at Thundersport, and you managed to fight off the championship leader, which was Richard Blunt, so that's actually quite an achievement.
Yeah, the bike's really good. It's Michael Rutter's bike from '98, although I rode one exactly the same. And it's the same mechanics looking after it that looked after it when I rode it in the '90s, so they know what they're doing, those boys. So I'd just like to thank them, and Keith and Mick that's paying all the bills really, so we couldn't do it. I know it's boring thanking sponsors, but we couldn't do it without them, so thanks to they guys, and especially Big Call, whose bike it is. It's good to keep those old bikes going rather than just leaving them in a museum or in somebody's shed, so we'll try and look after it and keep it going.
Well done on you, Win, thank you.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Well, coming up after the break, you're going to have to join us for this one, a cracking race. The JHS Racing Super Twins and Formula 400s. Welcome back to Cadwell. It's the JHS Racing Super Twins and Formula 400s. a championship that is being led by Daniel Freer, number 66 on the blue and yellow Kawasaki 650. He's on the second row. This man here is in second overall, David Allingham on the Bmor Aprilia. Lewis Rollo back to his best form. The young Scot, the reigning Aprilia Super Team champion, looking very focused second on the grid. And there's Luke Thackeray, number 95, younger brother of Jamie, who's on the second row. You can just see in the top left of your picture. Luke Thackeray having a very good weekend, capable of a podium, but what's going to happen here? Daniel Freer came into this round with a 35-point lead over David Allingham. That has shrunk. David Allingham has been on fire so far this weekend, and he rockets off the line for the start of the JHS Racing Super Twins and Formula 400s. We've been treated to some brilliant racing in this class so far in 2013. Can we get another one here? It's lovely to see that Lewis Rollo has finally found his form, and it is David Allingham that leads from Lewis Rollo. Daniel Freer third. Ross Twyman, that is, number 15, who's just been biffed out of fourth place by number 94. That's Jamie Thackeray, and Harry Coomber is in seventh. So Luke Thackeray must have got a shocking start. There he is, just behind Harry Coomber. There's Ross Twyman, and Dave Butler leading there. He's in seventh place. That's good going for Dave. He leads the mini twins. The other mini twins out there, Dan Taylor, Lee Wainwright, Alex Platt, got Talon Skills Piggins, James Flasinski, and Tom Neve, who's doing very, very well under the watchful eye of his mentor for this season, Phil Crow. Leaders coming through Hall Bends now then. We're just focusing on there, number 94, Jamie Thackeray. Just 1 year older than his brother Luke, both from York. They've always run well here at Cadwell Park. There's a change for third in the background, and Thackeray up the inside of Dan Freer for third place, but Freer's got the slightly more powerful machine, but at the front there might be a change as well. Lewis Rollo, the young Scotsman, fighting for first place with Ulsterman David Allingham. Further back, we've got some battles going on in the Formula 400s. 23 going across the line there is Adrian Pendrill, and then we've got number 10, which is Joe Sheldon Shaw on the 400, currently third of the 400s out on circuit. It's Allingham that leads from Rollo. Daniel Freer is closed up. It's a section of the circuit that we can't see over at Charlie's. Seems to be an area there where Daniel Freer makes up a lot of time, and of course with the slightly more powerful machine, the long park straight helps him out also. Thackeray just tucked in behind him in fourth. There's Harry Coomber, number 61, in fifth place ahead of Ross Twyman. Harry Coomber, who started the season off so well, just tailed off slightly. He's young though, and there's still more to come from him. But we've got a Northern Irishman, a Scotsman and an Englishman, first, second and third. There's a joke in there somewhere. We'll leave that one for later. Allingham on the Bmor Aprilia doing very well. Look at this lot coming through. Number 2, that's Paul Hinchcliffe on the HMC 650. Paul currently in 13th place overall. Back to the front, David Allingham crosses the line, a 137.8 for him, a 137.9 for Lewis Rollo. So he's matching him for pace. Daniel Freer in third. Well, he's the championship leader, but he's been losing 8 or 9 points in nearly every single race that we've had so far this weekend. So by the time we get to Alton Park, if things stay the same, Allingham will be just a whisker away from Daniel Freer overall. Good fight going on further back here between these Aprilia 450s. That's Coomber out front. The all-black leathers is Ross Twyman, and then the rider with the yellow helmet, Luke Thackeray. Allingham leads, Rollo second. There's Daniel Freer, number 66, in third. Daniel, the 29-year-old from Scunthorpe, very much his local circuit. Got friends and family here watching him this weekend, and his brother's racing, Graham also in the 600 race. Allingham it is that leads, desperate for 25 points. Lewis Rollo, despite having a bit of a topsy-turvy season so far, is actually in the top 8 overall in the championship, so there's plenty to play for him. Sam Smith just going through there, number 111. He's currently doing very well in the 400s, but he's just behind Aussie Mady. On to the start-finish straight we go. Another lap goes by, and both Allingham and Lewis Rollo are just breaking away now from Daniel Freer here in third place, and Jamie Thackeray in a strong fourth. Thackeray was just a smidgen quicker that time around from Daniel Freer. There's Sam Smith again, having a great race. on the Kawasaki ZX-R 400, and Lewis Rollo closing in on David Allingham. Likewise for Jamie Thackeray there, number 94, on the back of the Kawasaki 650 of Daniel Freer. There's George Stanley just behind Ozzy Mady. George up into the top 10. This is a good ride here from George Stanley. George from Stapleton on the BWSR Aprilia 450, and Ozzy Mady from Douglas in the Isle of Man. Quite a bit going on in the Isle of Man recently, so he's having some fun at Cadwell. That battle at the front is not over. Ross Twyman around the outside into Mansfield. What a move, very aggressive, taking no prisoners. Around the outside, cuts the nose off Luke Thackeray, and we've got a rider down, and that looks like Sam Smith's bike. That looks like Sam Smith's bike. That's the gooseneck as well. It's not a nice place to be coming off, and he's just limping away. That is Sam Smith, number 111. Oh, it's a shame for him. And so we've got just a couple of laps left now. Still that fight at the front continues, and the fight for third. Daniel Freer will be desperate to see Lewis Rollo taking a win so that the damage is limited. This is a battle further back for 8th and 9th between George Stanley and Ozzy Mady. Just behind them is Alex Baker, Tom Neve. Tom Neve second of the mini-twins because Dave Butler's leading that one at the moment. And Lewis Rollo has got himself in front, but not for long. Allingham fights back, just like he does in the Aprilia 450 races that we've seen all season long. When somebody puts a move on him, he fights back immediately. It's like the old Troy Bayliss trick. It's working very, very well for him in 2013. And the young Ulsterman and the young Scot charging away from the chasing pack at the moment. 6 years, 5 or 6 years age gap between the two of them. This fight between Twyman and Luke Thackeray is getting a little bit close, isn't it? As they go over the mountain side by side. Onto the start-finish straight. Allingham has a look over, pops his nose in front of Lewis Rollo, and the last lap flag is out. It's now or never for Lewis Rollo as they're both side by side heading up towards Coppice. Lewis Rollo's got the advantage, he's got the inside line, but they've got some traffic. That is the fight for 5th and 6th between Twyman and Luke Thackeray. Further back, that's Alex Baker, Tom Neve, and we've got Dan Taylor in there, Paul Hinchcliffe. So all sorts of battles going on, but Allingham must have got the slipstream on the Park Straight. He has the lead again, ahead of Lewis Rollo as they go into Chris Curve. And Lewis Rollo won't have too many chances left to try and get that win. He had a win, I believe, in this class at the very first round at Brands Hatch. Not had one since, and Rollo's thinking about the outside at Mansfield. Oh, there's not enough room. And they almost wipe each other out, but it's been clean. David Allingham, he's under pressure here. Lewis Rollo desperate to get the 25 points. Allingham, of course, needs it to close down on Daniel Freer, who looks set for third overall. They go into the bottom of the mountain and up over the mountain through Hall Bends. We're not going to know until they come out of Barn Corner now who's got the win in this race. Luke Thackeray almost taking a big clump of curb there and falling. Him and Ross Twyman going to fight for 4th and 5th. It's going to go down to the line, but David Allingham is going to win this one here on the B-More Aprilia. A fine race from the JHS Racing Super Twins. Allingham wins it from a very impressive Lewis Rollo, who is most definitely back to his best form. Daniel Freer, the championship leader. The best he could do was 3rd place ahead of Jamie Thackeray. Ross Twyman just goes across the line ahead of Luke Thackeray, and Dave Butler there, number 91, finishes in 7th and wins the mini-twins ahead of George Stanley. Ozzy Mady wins the 400s, by the way. He finished in 9th place, but look at that. Not a lot in it, was there? David Allingham, what a weekend he's had here at Cadwell Park. He closes the gap down to Daniel Freer overall. Lewis Rollo, though, looking on form. In the mini-twin, Butler wins it from Tom Neve on the left and Dan Taylor on the right. And in the 400s, Ozzy Mady extends his championship lead ahead of Rich Richardson and Joe Sheldon-Shaw. Points then, look at that, just 4 in it between Daniel Freer and David Allingham as we head to Alton Park in Cheshire.
Ozzy, you won the Formula 400 race at Snetterton and now you're doing it again at Cadwell. You must be chuffed to pieces with that.
Yes, it's nice to get a good run, you know, sort of build a bit of confidence. After Brands and Donington, we had 2 really bad weekends, so it's nice just to come back, have a bit of form.
And what about Alton? Are you looking forward to that? Do you like that circuit?
I've never been there, so I don't know what to say, really.
We look forward to seeing you then. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah. And my parents, Andy Grimshaw of AGR Motorsports, Steve Christie of Appetites on the Isle of Man, and again, congratulations to my sister who's having a baby in the next couple of days.
Well done, thank you. Winner of the Mini Twins, Dave Butler. You were keeping up with the Super Twins in that race. You must have had them in your sight. You had a good pace.
Yeah, I got a good start and got into slipstream with them, so they kind of towed me around a bit, but if they had got away, I wouldn't have been anywhere near them, so thanks to them lads. So,
well, you've come out with a win. Any sponsors to thank?
I'd like to thank my Uncle Des, who owns the bike, Spears Enterprises, Rory Quinn, Agri Services, D&E Autos, and Murray Motorsport, and plenty of other people I just can't remember. And I'd like to wish Jimmy Duggan well. He's in hospital, pretty broke up at the minute, so.
Thank you, well done. And the winner overall goes to Dave Allingham. Again, you were battling with Lewis in that race. Was it tough? How'd you stay in front?
I don't know how I stayed in front. No, Lewis is riding really good this weekend. He's put a couple of good hard moves on me. Yeah, it's good because at least I'm not getting away. At least you're always improving because there's someone else. You have to use protective lanes, and then once he gets in front, you can follow his lanes and you can learn something different. So yeah, he's riding good this weekend. But last lap, it just he can buy me down the straight, and I managed to get in the slipstream down the back straight and just kind of blocked him off, so he couldn't come up the inside of me. Yeah, and just held it from there, just hoping he wasn't going to come past me anywhere else.
Well done on your win. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Beemore, EHA Group, Gale, McGranney, Bridgestone, Silkeling, and all Thundersport. Thank you.
Well done.
3 down, 1 to go, and it's the Motodex Pre-National 600s coming up after this quick break. Welcome back to the final part of Thundersport Plus, the Motodex Pre-National Sports 600s coming up for their second race, and James Shaw doesn't look like there's any stopping him so far this weekend. The championship leader looks to leave here with a comfortable advantage over David Brook, who's third on the grid. There's Stephen Parsons. Stephen just missed out on the podium in race 1. Can he do anything about it here in race 2? It was Don Gilbert just in the top left there on the sky blue Yamaha R6 that was giving him problems earlier on. There's a couple of gaps on the second row, so we lost a few riders, and I'm not sure who. I can't see Adam Clark anywhere. Maybe he'll make it to the grid in a moment, but he doesn't look like he's made it onto the grid. One rider that has made it back out onto the grid, though, is Paul Westerdale from Leicester on the PW Racing Kawasaki. All black machine on the second row. Nice to have Paul back out there. But I wonder what's happened there to Adam Clark then. Interesting situation as we see Asa Webb just going through there, number 80 on the V8 Development Suzuki. James Shaw, it is that has the advantage. A great start from Don Gilbert, though, up to second place and ahead of Dave Brook already as they go into Chris Curve. But Dave Brook looking to go around the outside at Chris Curve. That's big and brave from Dave, who runs his own suspension company. Paul Westerdale is in 4th place, Parsons in 5th, Daz Odlin 6th, Paul Cunvin in 7th place. As you just see Charlie McCartan there, and Charlie Oakland. Number 14 is Jeff Comley from Keith on the GC Racing Honda. But Shaw already is looking to build up a second lead on this opening lap. He's got the advantage through the mountain. Don Gilbert in a strong second place, but coming under pressure from Dave Brook. Paul Westerdale 4th still. Parsons on the Triumph 5th. That is then Daz Odlin, number 89 on the Yamaha, Paul Cunvin. And then the rider that didn't finish race 1, number 47, Frank Gallagher. He makes it through Hall Bends this time. And then down into the hairpin. We lose them for a moment. Short stretch to Barn, and they ping out of there onto the start-finish straight to complete lap 1. James Shaw has a nice advantage there from Don Gilbert, who's looking to pick up as many points as possible here this weekend. Frank Gallagher is out there trying to get himself a finish and some decent points. Michael Tustin isn't here this weekend, rider that was 4th in the championship before the races started here at Cadwell Park. Not sure why Michael's not here, but hopefully he'll be back for Alton. I will just quickly mention Tim Daisley as well. Tim, who was 5th in the championship. Unfortunately, I understand his bike went pop on the Friday test here at Cadwell, so he's just spectating. Very frustrating for Tim, our tank commander in the British Army. So hopefully Tim gets that ready for Alton Park, our next round. James Shaw has the lead, no surprises there. Dave Brooke has moved up into second place ahead of Don Gilbert. Dave Brooke comfortably in second overall in the championship. It's Paul Westerdale third overall in the championship, but it looks like he might be fighting it out with Don Gilbert for the rest of the season. There's Don, the blue machine, and there's Paul Westerdale, number 94. Surprisingly easy to pick out, despite the fact that he wears black helmet, black leathers, and the black machine. Across the line on the GNS Racing Kawasaki, James Shaw, a 1:36.5. That's not quite as quick as he put in earlier on to break the lap record. And there's Parsons, number 71, from Milnthorpe on the SP Racing Triumph at 6:75. Looking further back at that battle between Will James, Charlie McCartan, Nick Kavanagh and Charlie Oakland. They've been together for the majority of the weekend so far. They're 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th. Asa Webber's in the points, just behind Michael Mace. Duncan Dunbar is up there as well, number 55, trying to get himself a precious point or two. But Shaw clearing off into the distance, not just in this race, but in the championship also. David Brooke is going to have a say in that at some point this season. You've got to think that with James Shaw coming from Manchester, that he'll probably be a big fan of Alton Park as well, because Alton not that far away from Manchester, and if he's done a few laps around there, then we could see a similar story. Shaw across the line on his super stock machine. David Brooke there, second, bit of a lonely race. A good battle developing now between Don Gilbert and Paul Westerdale for third and fourth. Steve Parsons trying to make himself a part of that. In fact, on that last lap, Stephen Parsons was slightly quicker than the two ahead of him, as Shaw tips into Park Corner. So we started out the season over at Brands, then Donington, Snetterton, Cadwell. Quite a mixed calendar here at Thundersport. The only circuit that we don't actually go to the exact same layout circuit twice. We go to Donington twice, but we use the National Circuit and the GP circuit. So after Cadwell, it's Alton Park, then Rockingham, Anglesey, Mallory, and the Donington Park GP circuit. So looking forward to those. Anglesey, of course, over in northwest Wales. Alton Park next up for us. If you actually fancy coming to watch those races live, you can watch them again on TV, by all means. We'd love to have you joining us. But Saturday, the 22nd of June, Alton Park, and that includes the Adam Boyle Trophy, a race in memory of the late Adam Boyle, who sadly passed away last year, a regular Thundersport GB rider. But James Shaw here from Manchester, really looking very strong this season. There's number 92, that's Michael Ward, about to be lapped by number 8, Paul Cunvin. And there's Frank Gallagher. Frank from Glossop, riding for the Royal Navy. Paul Cunvin, riding for the Royal Air Force from Southport. Bit of a battle going on this year in the military services. It's sponsored by the Isle of Man Products, Combined Military Services Championship. Before we came into this weekend, Tim Daisley of the British Army was actually leading that, but the fact that he's not raced all weekend means he's probably losing out on quite a few points. So Frank Gallagher might get himself up there, the Navy rider. There is James Shaw to see the last lap flag and extend that championship lead over David Brooke, who will be getting quite annoyed, I would imagine, at how consistently good James Shaw is. This is the battle for third. This is not over. In fact, as they go across the line, it's no longer the battle for third. That's the battle for fourth, because Steve Parsons, whilst I was napping a moment ago, has got himself up into third place ahead of Paul Westerdale and Don Gilbert. So I just wonder if there was a problem for Paul and Don at some point. So Stephen Parsons is on for a podium here, number 71, the rider from just down the road. There is number 69, and that is Bradley Hill, about to be lapped by Frank Gallagher. who's looking to take the lead in the Combined Military Services Championship. Any second now, we'll get a shot of James Shaw. Here he is, exiting the new chicane at Cadwell Park down towards the mountain. Just a few twisty-turny bits left for him here at Cadwell Park, over the top of the mountain. Nicely done. Short burst up towards Hall Bends. Just rolling off the pace a bit here. Nice weekend for James Shaw. He extends his championship lead. It's been faultless, and it looks like Paul Westerdale might just get ahead there of Don Gilbert. Don Gilbert won't have an answer left now. So James Shaw it is that wins in the second Motodex Pre-National Sports 600 race. A good solid 25 points. And that's 4 out of 4 for James Shaw. David Brooke has to sell off a second again there. 20 points for him. And Steve Parsons really strong towards the end of this race, taking third. And just Paul Westerdale, number 94, finishing ahead of Don Gilbert, number 34. Frank Gallagher does finish in 6th place, number 47, ahead of Paul Cunvin, Anthony Charlie, Daz Odlin, and William James was 10th place. There you go, James Shaw in the middle, David Brooke on the left, and Steve Parsons on the right. And the points, as we head over towards Oulton Park, a 117-point advantage Shaw now has over David Brooke.
The position goes to Stephen Parson. That was a good race for you there. You faced competition on the way.
Yeah, it was a good race. We got in a rhythm at the start, so we can't complain about that. We passed a few people. It was an entertaining race, so can't do wrong with that.
Definitely. And you like Cadwell Park?
I do this weekend. It's been good to me this weekend, so we like it this week. So, not normally one of my favourites, but this weekend it's been good, so we're doing right.
Well done on your podium. Any sponsors to thank?
Well, I'd like to thank Dad, but apart from that, not really. That's all.
All right then, thanks Dad. And David Brooke, another second position. You're sort of out there on your own. Will you catch James at Oulton?
No comment. I don't know. Probably not. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll be trying.
Well, that's all you can do. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, everyone on my levers. Paul Martin, Steve, Mum and Dad, and everyone else who helps out.
Well done.
Thank you.
I think he's a bit gutted, James. You're in a league of your own. You're out there. You're dominating Cadwell.
Yeah, well, I just don't know what to say. What can I say? Yeah, I'm just happy.
Well done.
Started the weekend off really bad, so finished it on a high.
Definitely. Well done on all your wins. Any sponsors to thank?
Just Mark and Tom from GNS Racing, my mum, my dad, my girlfriend, just the usual.
Well done, James.
Thanks a lot.
Well, that's it then from Thundersport Plus here at Cadwell Park. Round 5 is Oulton Park in a couple of weeks' time from myself, Steve Day. And thanks to Grace Webb down in Parc Fermé. We'll see you at Oulton.